starts in 4 minutes and 39 seconds. Be sure to like and subscribe. There's still time to share with your friends. We will be live in 3 minutes. Minutes. Like, subscribe, and share. Be sure to comment for live answers during the podcast. We will see you in studio in 30 seconds. And now for the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast Out There Winning with James and Akeem.
If you hadn't had an opportunity, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Go ahead and share on Facebook, and also check us out there on YouTube.
Today in the studio in the winner's circle, we got Gabe Prewitt. Gabe is the vice president of racing and
sports wagering. Operations, yes.
That's awesome.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Gabe.
Glad to be here. Good to be back with a couple fellow classmates. Any reason to come back home? So
that's right.
Yeah, it's good. Appreciate you guys having me. Hopefully, I don't tank your ratings.
No, man, it's a pleasure having you on. Talk to us a little bit about the sports wagering. Now that's the legal there now in Kentucky and so forth.
Yeah, I think it's been a great thing. We September 7th was the first day. It was opening night of the NFL season. If you guys remember, it was a Thursday night. So we had when we first opened, the first 3 weeks there were no mobile apps, so it was all in-house. We were flooded literally for 3 weeks. It was something new. Everybody wanted to come check it out. Mobile apps went live the 28th of September. But we were able to maintain a good foot traffic. On the property, we got a nice sports book. It's a good place to have a meal, get a drink, watch a game. So it's worked out really well.
So, sports betting is something that just happened for Kentucky, but for the longest time, horse racing's been here, right?
It has been.
So tell us a little bit about how you got involved in horse racing.
Yeah.
Well, I've always liked to gamble, as it turns out, as you guys may be aware of in our younger years. So that was probably the original thing that drew me to the track. We grew up on a farm out near Judy, so was around horses and stuff growing up. My sister showed horses, but grew up going to Keeneland all the time, and then went to the University of Kentucky in 2001, moved across the street from the Red Mile, which I didn't know anything about. So one day I believe you may have walked into my apartment in college and said, "Hey, you want to go bet the horses across the street?" I didn't even know they raced. So I was like, "Yeah, sure." And you'd say, "Yeah, they race. They just have the carts behind them. You can still bet, though." I'm like, "Sounds good enough to me." And off we went.
We had no clue.
Off we went, and I've never left, I suppose.
So we hop in, a little bit on the story. We hop in, we go bet these horses, and before Gabe had went, the sales pitch was, "Hey man, I just hit for $30."
$30, right?
$30 to us was a lot of money.
Yeah, a lot of ramen noodle there.
And he's like, and Gabe was like, "Well, if you can hit for $30, I can hit for 60." So, but we had a great time when you got started out, and when we all just started betting horses. And Gabe, you got pretty sharp as a gambler on horses. Tell a little bit about what goes into that.
Some days, it's just a lot of work. If you want, it's like anything that you want to be successful at, you got to put in a lot of time and effort. So, anytime I'm preparing for a race car, whether it's to do a broadcast or gamble, for that matter, if I'm just sitting at home. So, I watch a lot of replays, do a lot of assessments, so to speak. You get to know the horses pretty well. The race, at least on the standard bred side, they race week in, week out. They'll race 3 or 4 times a month. So it's pretty easy to learn the horse population after a while, and sort of the tendencies and things like that. But it's a lot of work. You take some time off, you missed a lot, you got to catch up and whatnot. But it's more to be successful betting horses is tell people all the time, picking horses is probably 10% of it. How you gamble is the most important thing. Your ticket structures and how you bet. So that's far more. I would take an average handicapper that knew how to bet very, very well over an extremely good handicapper that was not so good at betting.
Right. Yeah. So you have to be good at knowing what to do. Like you're talking. When to bet a trifecta, when to bet an exact, when to bet a super, and how would you know when to bet that? I mean, is it? Let's talk to people. Let's tell them how to bet.
Every race is a different puzzle. Every race is a different puzzle. Horses, you get to know have tendencies. So you got to really, when you're looking at anything, no different than stocks or something. You're trying to extract value in the best way possible. So when you're looking at a field, you may know a horse that, you can as a short price, overvalued, let's say, in the betting markets, and you think that the horse, has no shot. So you're trying to beat that horse. You think that's a good shot a good spot to take a shot when you've got a horse like that that's being severely overbet, and and you sort of know that's the case. So it's all about every race is different. Some races, I have really no opinion on. Some races I have a very, very strong opinion on. So it's all different. Maybe. If I look at a race card, 13 or 14 races, I might have two spots a night or so that I really like quite a bit.
And just by me being someone who's been out there gambling with you and, all the guys at the Red Mile, there are some people who have a very high opinion of some of the races. I'm talking, it's crazy. What's some of the crazy stuff you've seen go on at the Red Mile, just in the gambling side of it?
Oh, boy. How long do we have here? It's... There are funny stories around. We've seen some chaos, but
Is little Billy watching?
little Billy could be watching. But I'm going to tell one on him here. I am going to tell one.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah. So little Billy, our good friend out there. Shout out to Billy. He had a race one day where it was Sam Bowie on the horse, in fact, and he had told everyone that he was betting $20,000 to show on the horse for basically a week. It was in a spot where it really couldn't lose, in his opinion. So it really put up a large amount of money. There was when you could get a rebate on the bet too. So he told everyone this. Finally, the word got back to the officials. Now this has been 20 years ago, so I don't feel bad telling anybody's business at this point. But word got back to the officials there, and they decided because if there's not enough money to cover the losses, so it makes a large bet like that in a show pool, the track actually has to pay the difference, the win. So word got back to the Mutual's manager at the time, and they canceled show betting about 2 races ahead of this because they knew what he was going to do. So he swells up, gets a little angry, and decides that, you know what, I'm going to bet $20,000 a place. Forget it. So now you have to be the top 2. Major difference, just statistically. Some, there are a lot of horses that can finish. They finish third. That, wouldn't have finished second maybe. So down the stretch, he does it. He can't breathe. But there's 2 horses. The horse on the lead. But there are 2 horses right at him. Like looks like they're both going to pass him. And unfortunately, he's going to lose $20,000. But luckily, for him, the horse dug in and won by maybe this much, and beat the other horse by like that much. So he salvaged his money. But there are a million track stories. They say believe half of what you see, even when you're at the racetrack. So
it's crazy. Billy's fun.
He is fun.
There are a lot of fun people at the Red Mile to hang out with.
Oh yeah. It's quite the list of characters. At one point in time, there was simulcast wage where you had to go to the track to bet horses. So it was at one point in time the characters were just dozens and dozens and dozens of people there every day. A lot of people now, with convenience of phones and staying home and on the apps, no different than sports betting. It's not quite the same cast as we had 15, 20 years ago, but they're still good.
Yeah. And go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking on to sports betting for folks that are out there, like what are the ways that you can bet with Red Mile?
Well, I would prefer they bet with Caesars. That was my old employer.
Okay.
Before I went back to Red Mile full time. About a little over a year now, I was director of racing at Caesars, so I sort of oversaw the operations at their 6 racetracks. And when sports betting passed, it surprised a lot of people that it passed when it did. We thought it was coming maybe a year or 2 down the road, but the year that it did pass, you had to have like 60% of the votes. So it was whatever Kentucky's odd laws are, I don't know.
Right.
But it did pass sort of surprisingly. And when that happened, I was able to get the guys at Caesars, one of the major operators, to in the room and to sit down with Keeneland and Red Mile. So it's a partnership with both Keeneland and Red Mile. So Caesars operates our sports book on the on site, and then of course it's we have the Caesars sports app that you can download and bet. It takes 2 seconds to download and 2 seconds to deposit,
2 seconds to
2 seconds to withdraw. After you win.
That's right. So you kind of hit on a subject there about bringing sports betting to Kentucky and so forth. I mean, what are some positives and maybe a few negatives in there that you see with being allowed in Kentucky now?
I think it's almost all positive because I think people were betting sports in Kentucky before it was legal.
Right.
I wouldn't know.
I didn't make eye contact with you for a reason, but yeah, It's most of us that have been in action for quite some time. I don't think it's really a new thing, but the good thing is with the legality of it, there are no worries. It's
streamlined.
You get a streamlined. It's mainstream. You don't have to worry about anything. Back alley, and there's so many more options. People now get these player props, total points for players, parlay this, parlay that. I mean, we've had people put up $5 and hit for 100,000. You can't do that with a local bookie, unfortunately. Or if you did, you probably wouldn't get paid.
Right.
Yeah.
Or the kid in class when you're betting with them, right? That was us when we were kids.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just there's so many more. It's convenient. Get your fingertips, and there's so many different options out there. I mean, even for the Super Bowl last year, we had a booklet. I think it was 60 some pages of every bet you can make just on the one single game. So it's the options are endless. So I think it's just a great thing. I don't really think anything negative because, again, I think most people were probably already in that world if they chose to be. But I just think, allowing people to Get done legally.
And the state's monetizing this somehow. They're getting some money. What's all that going to?
They
How
are.
does that work out?
Well, I don't know. It goes to the general fund. They have a nice amount that goes to the general fund. I was happy to see everybody work together. I think it was a bipartisan thing. I don't think anything's bipartisan these days, but fortunately for us, I think sports betting in Kentucky and a lot of people for many years, did a lot of the heavy lifting on that. I think from our end at Red Mile, it's good to just have another product to try to drive traffic out to the facility. We did a huge March Madness party. Yeah, I think you were there one of the days.
I was there.
Yeah, Thursday through Sunday, the first weekend of the tournament. Did a huge Super Bowl party. And it's a different demographic. If you see the historical racing machines, sometimes that's, a certain demographic. The racetrack scales a little of an older crowd typically. In sports betting, you see, it's I've talked to, hundreds of people that had never even been on the property before. So I think in my mind, my goal is to try to introduce some of those people and teach them about the history of the place and introduce them to the horse racing part of it. That's what we're trying to bring back. The Red Mile is second oldest harness track in the world. It's been there since 1875. So shortly after the Civil War is when they started racing. There's their 150th racing season. We're approaching
awesome.
that open Sunday. So a lot of history there, a lot of history. So it's great. And our sports book is located actually right on the first level, and the upstairs clubhouse is the dining room for the racetrack. So it's so conveniently located to try and people could migrate up and enjoy some of the races. Exactly.
Good food.
Good food.
Yeah.
So talk about a little bit about Red Mile. Obviously, they got some harness racing, sports betting. What else goes on? I mean, I think I walked in before and seen some nice concerts going on.
Yeah. It's
a lot of slot machines.
A lot of machines. We've got 900 machines, in fact, so a little one for everyone if you want to take a visit. Obviously, we simulcast horse racing from around North America 7 days a week. So you can always go there and wager on horses, even if it's not on the property. Obviously, live racing, sports betting. You've got obviously my favorite time of the year is kicking off now with the race meet starts Sunday. So we'll race through October the 6th. That's closing day, and we host. It's the third leg of the Trotting's Triple Crowns. It's sort of like the Belmont, if anyone's familiar with the thoroughbred racing.
Yes.
We host the third leg of the Trotting Triple Crown. It's our signature race every year. That's a Kentucky Futurity. That's on closing day. So we have stakes races every day. Some of the best trainers, horses, drivers, North America are here on a regular basis. So the racing has really improved. A lot of that's happened with the revenue generated off the machines. Some of the revenue with sports betting. It's allowed the industry to prop up a little bit because a portion of the tax money on those machines directly injected into the breed development fund, which funds a lot of the stakes races and the big purses and things. So we're fortunate that that's been a lifeline for our business that was really struggling because we're privately owned, and those guys went through a lot of lean years, we'll call it, losing seven figures a year to maintain that property to try to survive to a better time when we were getting inundated by other states that had other sources of revenue. So finally, Kentucky, we got our act together and we got the historical racing machines, and it's been great. We've had, even over the last year, I've known probably 10 or 12 major standardbred interests that have purchased farms in central Kentucky. We're talking millions and millions of dollars. A lot of people are moving their entire breeding operation to this area. So, it's been a lifeline. It's nice to see it on this side of the fence as opposed to, when things were a little lean. So the machines were introduced in 2015. As far as the overall property goes, we had Railbird. Everybody's familiar with that. 40,000 people there on Saturday and almost 45,000 people on Sunday. I sort of closed my eyes because I don't want to see the track that Monday morning. Usually after so it takes us a little while to pick up the pieces off that. Yeah, and it actually rained a little bit this year too, which made things all the more interesting. But it was a fun concert. I hope anybody that went had a good time. That's been really cool that we've been able to host that the last couple of years. But yeah, different events all the time. So we didn't have it this year, but we usually have one of those professional motorcycle races. The timing just didn't work out. It was, I think, going to conflict with Railbird and Fact, so hopefully we'll get those guys back in next year. So yeah, it's not just horse racing. That happens to be my favorite part of the facility, but there's a lot going on.
Now, opening day, I'm taking my kids. They're kind of excited about it. You've got some ostriches and camels.
We do.
Now, Bodie, my 7-year-old, wants to know if he can ride an ostrich.
If you ride a camel, I'll let him ride an ostrich. How's that?
I'm out. I can't do it.
You know what? They're apparently harder to ride than it appears. There have been some injuries around when they've let someone local on them as opposed to the professionals. Luckily, we have the professionals coming. Yeah, it's a guy that runs an exotic animal farm in Kansas, and he's sort of, they do this at some racetracks. You can Google it. Around, they sort of show up and put on an exhibition race of 3 ostriches, and they have the riders sitting behind them on a cart.
Okay.
And they race those, and then
Red Mile style.
Red Mile style, and then the camels are there shortly thereafter. We'll have them as well. So it's a great night. I encourage anybody to come out on Sunday, July 21st. Free admission, so you don't have to spend $1. You can come in, hang out, check the place out, check everything out. But we'll have inflatables, face painting, food trucks. Right when you pull on the property, you'll see the camels and ostriches. They're going to be right there on display, sort of at the historic round barn, the white barn up there.
Yep.
So it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. It's opening night. We've gone back to an evening post time on Sundays for the first time in many, many years. So I think we're really trying to. Clubhouse will be open for dining every Sunday. $2 beers, $2 hot dogs. So it's a cheap night out.
It's affordable. Yeah.
$2 hot dogs. I'm in on that.
Yeah.
Everybody, we are talking with Gabe Prewitt today on Out There Winning Podcast, and we're going to go to a commercial break.
Out There Winning Podcast is brought to you in part by Dubby, your taste buds' favorite energy drink.
Follow your bubby over to Facebook and click on the W. Get a 10% discount with our code Out There Winning. Fishes and Honeycomb Children's Boutique, where every outfit tells a story and every toy sparks imagination.
From beautiful dresses to adorable t-shirts, we have the perfect ensemble for every occasion.
Fishes and Honeycomb Children's Boutique at fishesandhoneycomb.com. Also, follow us on Facebook. Great Yard Prime Wash, Pressure Wash, and Soft Wash Services.
Destroy and grind, one house at a time. Contact Great Yard Prime Wash at greatyardprimewash.com.
Pool Brothers. Turn your backyard into a dream oasis.
Complete pool installations from start to finish. Contact Pool Brothers at poolbrothers.com.
Chill Zone CBD at chillzonecbd.com.
Discover the natural benefits of CBD with our premium products. Whether you're seeking for relaxation, relief, or rejuvenation, our CBD's offering have you covered.
Your journey to natural relief starts at Chill Zone CBD. chillzonecbd.com.
X-Powered Travel.
Escape the ordinary and explore the extraordinary with our travel packages tailored to satisfy every wanderlust. Whether you crave the serenity of pristine beaches, the thrill of vibrant cities, or the awe-inspiring beauty of nature's wonders, we have the perfect destination waiting for you.
X-Powered Travel at xpoweredtravel.com. Next Level Entertainment.
Elevate your event to the next level with our premier mobile DJ services. Whether you're planning a wedding, corporate event, birthday bash, or any special occasion, our professional DJs are here to keep the party rocking all night long.
Find us on Facebook at Next Level Entertainment.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in and coming back to us here with Gabe Prewitt at Out There Winning Podcast.
Yeah, we were talking about the events that are coming up here at Red Mile. We had the ostrich racing coming up August the
Camel and ostriches this Sunday.
Oh,
July
this Sunday. I
21st,
apologize.
yep.
This Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
What other events that you got?
Well, we're basically turning every Sunday night into an event. At least we're trying to. Again, we're going back to an evening post on Sundays. Clubhouse will be open for dining if you want to make reservations
Evening
any Sunday
post,
night.
what time's that?
5:05.
Okay.
5:05 first post, and every Sunday we'll have live music. We've got $2 beers, hot dogs, as I mentioned. World class racing. So every Sunday we're trying to turn into an event. If you go to our events calendar, every Sunday's a little something different. We'll have wiener dog races. That's always popular. That was maybe the largest crowd I've seen in many, many years there last year. It was insane. People love to come watch 4-pound animals, whatever they are, race. It's entertaining. Everyone that brings, we take any entry, by the way. So if you're out there and you have a wiener dog, bring it.
Yeah.
And what happens inevitably, we have 10 or 12 races with the Wiener dogs, and everyone that has a dog seems to bring 20, 30 people with them. So it's like a party to root cheer them on and stuff. So it really is a fun time. That's coming up on Sunday, August the 25th. Those will be before the races, so before the actual harness races. So it'll be that afternoon. I'd have to look up the time, but I think roughly 2 o'clock. But again, that's August 25th. But that's always a really good time.
So when you're doing these races, it's open for all families, all ages.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Kids, you can bring kids. They're a very family friendly place to go for live racing. The apron's open. You don't have to go through the front part of the building or anything. You just walk right around to the side onto the track apron. Yeah, kids of all ages. It's going to be a huge family fun blowout. We hope on Sunday with all the activities and stuff we're having on. But yeah, any night we race or any time we race, families are more than welcome.
That's awesome. So you have some inflatables and all that.
Oh, yeah.
all the fun stuff for the kids,
jazz,
right?
All the jazz.
Man, it just sounds like an awesome place where, like you said, just to be able to take a family out, enjoy a good time. It's affordable, it seems like.
It is. It's a great view right in downtown Lexington. There aren't many tracks, located in that, much of a metropolitan area, and with the land values what they are these days. So yeah, it's a cool view. You get to see the skyline. It looks really good when it's lit up at night.
Right.
So it is. It's a lot of fun. We want to introduce the next generation to being around horses and the community and the fabric with Lexington. So I think it's great.
Now, when racing goes live, you've got a different job you do there at the Red Mile too. You're kind of famous for it, and
infamous maybe the word.
Yeah, maybe. You're a track announcer.
Yeah,
so tell us a little bit about how you got into all that.
That's the bad. I'm trying to get people to come. I didn't want to tell them they have to plug their ears, but yeah, I'll be the track announcer.
Yeah.
Been doing that job on sheer accident, by the way, because my job after you willed me into the place back in 2001. Shortly thereafter, my college job, I was a teller. I sold mutual tickets, so probably did that for a couple of years, and somewhere down the road, we had a guy, a good buddy of mine, that he was the announcer and the race secretary, had a million jobs, and I sort of feel his pain now in this era. But he had to do things prior to the races, and he could never really free himself up right at the start of the races each night. So came to me there one night when I was punching tickets and discussed with me about if I would go maybe call the first couple races, would help. There were short fields, 5 and 6 horses. Geez, it can't be that hard, I don't think, right? So I'd watched them 1 million races. Surely I can describe one, right? But turns out it was much harder than I thought. When I went
absolutely.
up, and I was horrific when I first started. But that was probably back in 2005 or 6. So at some point, out of probably sheer desperation of no other candidates they had at that point, I became the full-time track announcer. I think I've been the full-time track announcer there for. Jeez, we're getting old, I think. 2007, possibly.
Yeah.
So, it's about 17 years. I've been the voice, traveled around to other tracks. I was at Buffalo Raceway for 2 years in the South Towns there near Orchard Park where the Bills play. Was in South Florida, for several, 9 winters overall there. The Pomp. So we've always had the, my passion's a little bit on the management side, the betting side, wagering side, but typically I've announced at most places I've been as well.
So announcing, you get to travel all over. They're calling you because you're good, right? Well, you can be humble, but they are. They're calling you because you're good, and you just kind of happened into it.
Well, one of the best things about coming home to the Red Mile with this position I'm in now, I've had a relationship. Even when I was doing the other positions, I always came back here in the summer to announce the race meet, and one of the deals that they allowed me to have when I started my full-time job there, overseeing the racing and sports wagering was. That I could still freelance, so that was really good for me. It really made it an easy decision to be able to come back home for the most part full time, even though I am on the road quite a bit. So do a lot of freelance stuff. I'll go to different big nights and do about 15 shows a year, maybe 12 for Fox Sports. We do several. We just did one last Saturday in New Jersey. They're right where the Jets and Giants play, near MetLife Stadium at the Meadowlands racetrack. So very fortunate to have those opportunities. And I'm very fortunate to have an employer that allows me to go those opportunities. And, occasionally I'll go fill in at other tracks to announce. I enjoy that, for short times, whether it's standardbred and do some thoroughbreds too. Usually get down to Gulfstream in the winter for a couple weeks, and got a trip coming up to Parks near Philadelphia soon to announce as well. So, yeah, for whatever reason, I guess I'm the sixth man. So when anybody needs a backup, they hit me up, and some of the freelance broadcasting, it's good.
So with Fox Sports, that's a pretty neat deal. Some pretty good exposure, I mean, you get to be on TV.
Yeah,
And people get to see you. I mean, it's
I don't know if this is a good sight, but usually my coworkers are
you're blending in with the background. You got your black shirt on. You're good. But so, how has that helped you?
It's good. It's been a great experience. I had done a couple national TV things prior to that, but not on any type of regular basis. We'd have and occasionally. If I was at the Meadowlands, I've worked for them for several years now, and their big days, they sort of have the Kentucky Derby of harness racing. That's coming up on Saturday, August 3rd. It's the first Saturday in August every year, and it's $1 million race for trotters. That's the first leg of the Triple Crown, and then, of course, as I mentioned, we host the third leg at the Red Mile. But yeah, it was good. So we did some things. With some of those days, we'd be on a national network. They'd pick us up for a little bit, but certainly nothing to the extent that the Fox Sports has been. But really, it's just like any other broadcast. Like us sitting here right now, for the most part, it's you're probably being watched a few more times or whatever. But got to prepare, be ready, and know what you're doing, and at least you hope until something goes wrong. But it's good as long as everything technically goes well. Those days are fun.
Now, we've been friends for a long time, and I've kind of hung out with you through it all. But when you're preparing for a night of racing, as an announcer, how much, tell everybody, because I know about the prep and stuff that goes into a night of racing.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot behind the scenes. Yeah, you want to get familiar with everything. As far as just announcing, I'm solely announcing like I do some days the Red Mile. It's really not terribly tough. I do take some time to go over.
But that's because you know all the horses already.
Yeah, that helps. That helps, yeah. So when I go to the thoroughbred tracks, it's like a different world for me. I'm not immersed in there from day to day, so it's a lot more prep work for me to do the thoroughbreds because, it's just a different game altogether. I'm not familiar with the horsemen, the horses, so I really have to do a lot of prep work when I do that because that's like a foreign world to me. So I spend probably, at least a couple hours on each card. I'll even... the harness racing, I can walk in, just pick up the binoculars and call a race. No problem, not much prep to it. Thoroughbreds, I'll actually color my program with the silks of the riders, so they're down there and to familiarize myself. And then anytime you're doing a broadcast, it's all about filling time, as you guys know, I'm sure. Yeah. So anytime you're doing a broadcast, that's a lot of prep because, for instance, some nights I'm lucky that we have 2 tracks racing, so I'll just be at one of those. So for at least half the show, they're off my back. But like this past Saturday, we were live and we were the only track, and it was on FS2 this Saturday, but it was a 3-hour broadcast where it was only us. That was the only track they were showing. It was a major race night. They had like $3 million in purses, or a little less than that, but. That's a lot of prep work because you want to be prepared. You want to be over prepared, right? Based on what happens. We actually had an unfortunate situation last year. Thank goodness I was a little prepared, but the Hamiltonian, which I just mentioned, is coming up on August 3rd. That's the one broadcast that we do. Usually every one I do is on FS1 or FS2, but we do the one broadcast here that's on National Fox. The big Fox channel. So. We were, a smaller part of that broadcast. They have a huge stakes day at Saratoga with the thoroughbreds and stuff, but they'll come out to us and check it out on our big races as well. But they had a terrible incident. Actually, a horse got injured at Saratoga that Bill Parcells owned. In fact, thank goodness, we really don't have it's not been a problem of late for the thoroughbreds, but in the harness side, it's the safest racing, and there's really no injuries. I've been around, for thousands and thousands of races, whether it be announcing or management or whatever. But we really don't have any catastrophic injuries, thankfully. But that happened live on the air on National Fox when this horse went down, and I could hear the thing in my ear, what was happening. I didn't see it, but I could tell it was probably not the best scene in the world, and the tones of the guys up there were not good. So we were scheduled to go on like a 2-minute hit. On Fox for our race, and we still were about 10 minutes away. Well, all of a sudden, they say, "Hey guys, get ready. We're coming to you guys. We're coming to you guys." Immediately. So, thank goodness I was pretty well versed on that field and those horses that were in, and you had to handle the situation of obviously the audience has just watched a not the best scene. So you sort of it's the biggest day of the year at the track I'm at, and we're all smiles, but you sort of have to read the room a little bit and understand the situation going on. So we filled about 12 minutes before they went to the gate for that race, just out of nowhere. I mean, I was literally sitting there, probably punching in bets on my phone when the guy said to get set up and get ready. So yeah, that was live TV. Anything can happen.
In your role as VP, what are some major challenges that you face?
I think finding, we're fortunate to have a good staff, but it's always, you want good people. We're always looking for good people, by the way. If anyone out there wants to try and join our team, I think that's one thing that everywhere has to deal with. But I really like it. I enjoy it. I enjoy those worlds. I'm very fortunate to work in something I like. I've worked in jobs I did not like.
Right.
It's a little bit.
And most of us have.
I know you're the same way with basketball. It's truly, your passion. It's what you like to do. I mean, I live to watch races. Even when I'm not at the track, I'm usually sitting around watching races somewhere or talking to somebody about bad beat stories or something. So it's
plenty of those.
It's something I enjoy to do. So really, it can be frustrating. There's a lot going on right now. It's sort of organized chaos, getting ready for the race meet and everything, and to prepare. But it's it's good. I think for the most part, it's a lot of fun. I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it. And I torture myself with a little bit of the travel. I think I'm on the road
a lot.
Yeah, eight out of the last 9 weekends or something. I'll fly to Jersey or wherever it may be. To do those things. Sometimes they're just road trips. Next weekend I'm in Pittsburgh. I think the weekend after that I'm in Cleveland. So it's plus maintain my daytime duties as well. But again, it is a lot, but it's you enjoy doing it.
Right. What is some maybe some common misconceptions that people have around the betting industry?
Yeah, well, it's it couldn't be frowned upon, right?
Right.
And I've I never frowned upon it.
Right.
Even when we were younger together. But, I think that it's more mainstream now than it's ever been. You know, I think that, people recognize the fact, that sports, they hear everybody's got an opinion on sports. I think the biggest challenge for horse racing is, if you're not familiar with it, it can be so intimidating for people. And you walk in, you don't really understand all the dynamics or the different bets or what you're digesting from the program. But, you go to a barber shop and you hear 10 opinions on who's going to win the Knicks Bulls game tonight, right? So that's made it, I think, sports betting more mainstream than ever. We see all the broadcasts discuss it at length. I was never a broadcasting major or anything. I sort of was always the guy that just followed the horses and had a good. So usually I was partnered up with someone that was pretty astute at, hosting the show, and for the most part, I'll sort of be the color guy in those scenarios. But I think that a lot of the connotation of the gambling, it's those seem to be a thing that passed in my mind. I just think it's more mainstream.
Personally, like I see people who you would never know that gambled.
Yeah.
And they're talking about, I just hit a parlay. Like you did. What'd you hit for? 17. What? 7? Yeah.
These people can print out these parlays and they're like CVS receipts. They're like CVS
like
receipts
20,
out there.
20 names or whatnot long.
Like I used to feel uncomfortable doing like a 3 3 game, before, with a book if you're.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's like...
someone's serious when they pull up one of those self-serve sports betting machines. They'll pull a chair up and start putting all those parlays.
I find it real interesting, though, from a standpoint, I don't go to the horse track all the time, but when I do, I try to, to study the next race or whatnot, and I'm seeing, the odds, the jockey, the color of the horse, and the driver of the horse and whatnot. Right. But, like you said, there's like a little bit of science that goes behind it. Like, talk a little bit about that and what people maybe should be looking for and what they need to be ignoring.
Which hopefully everybody has that about 8 hours here on the sports bet together. Believe me, I don't have all the answers, but I'm a huge class guy. We want to see what class, what level the horse is in. The easiest way to cheat and kind of look is just look at the purse amount they're going for. What was the purse in this race and what are the purse of previous races? That's usually a pretty good diagram.
That's on the left side, right?
Yeah, that's usually a pretty good diagram to how tough they're in compared to other races.
Right.
There are a million different ways that you can play horses. I'm a huge visual guy. I watch a ton of replays. I want to see harness racing is much more trip oriented. How the trip the horse got. They like to draft off each other naturally. So when they're really drafting and following one another, they're not doing much work. But when they get uncovered and they take the air, that's sort of a lot harder work on them. So I like to watch horses that kind of had sneaky bad trips. Once I go back and look at a replay, but on the program maybe it doesn't look so bad. So you're trying to find something that's an advantage over the public. So you had everything at your fingertips these days. You can watch replays for free. You can do any of that stuff. You get the data for free. So if you want to put in the work, it's out there for you. But I'd love to help anyone that wanted to gamble. But the other thing is horse racing is such a part of the fabric in Lexington. I mean,
right.
you can come out and enjoy it. I mean, we have just as many people come out that don't bet as do. So it's not really anything that's required. But yeah, it's I think as people get more comfortable, the more you bet. We didn't walk in a Red Mile, pounding $200 exactas the first day we walked out. You might have, I didn't. But
I won $30.
Yeah, but the more comfortable you get with it, the more confidence you have in your opinion.
Right.
That you sort of know what you're doing. Although you get humbled, I usually get humbled about 12 times a night. But the more confidence you have, I think that allows you to invest more.
You got to be careful when you're betting because you can bet more than you can win.
Oh yeah, well it's pari-mutuel betting. That's the difference with horse racing as opposed to anything else. It's really a game you can beat because you're betting against all the other players. That's why it's so fascinating to me from a gambling outcome. If you go play basically at a casino or wherever else, you're playing against the house. And what's the house always wins, right?
Yeah,
that's what they say.
That's
anyway,
what
you might
yeah.
be the lucky one of that day, but it's tough to outrun. But when you're dealing with pari-mutuel wagering with horses, whether it be thoroughbreds or standardbreds, whatever it is, you're betting against all the other guys in the world, that are betting out there in the simulcast world. And the track, all we simply do is take a small cut of the pool, so we don't care who wins any race because we're still going to make the same 12, 15%, and then we just pay the winners. So it makes no difference, but it's sort of like poker in a way where you're playing against the other people that you're with. So it's really a game that if you do put enough work into it, that you've really got a shot.
Now, will you be taking bets for these ostrich races?
Not legally. That might have to go back to the pre-legal days as we discussed earlier. Only amongst your friends.
I'll take your bets.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Only amongst your friends.
That's right. Oh man, what has been the biggest hit out at Red Mile?
I think those wiener dog races. It's just racing. You race so many days. Keeneland is sort of its own unicorn type status. I mean, it's still they race just a select time of year, and they get huge on track crowds. That's I tell anyone from here. If you start traveling to other places, the big days are still big, but most days don't look like every day Keeneland does with the type of crowds and fanfare. So you really have to get creative to market it and get it out there, and really almost like a minor league baseball perspective. That's why we have the wiener dogs, camels, and the ostriches. So having horse racing would certainly get me to walk into the place, but not everyone's wired exactly like me, so we always wanted to keep doing a little something different to try and bring people out and make it a good time for families and whatnot. And at the same time, when we do all that, we're introducing them to the facility and the sport, and to know they were there. We were for the longest time. Hopefully we're breaking out of that shell, but I think we were one of the best kept secrets in Lexington. Maybe on accident, and to be right downtown.
Right. Now you've been, like a basketball coach. As a basketball coach, I go into many different types of arenas, and going to the Hoosier Gym and all these historic places. Obviously as an announcer, you've been in many.
Oh yeah,
I guess arenas.
Sure.
Or whatnot. What are some?
That's always tough too, because you walk into a place. Sometimes I'll go visit tracks. Oh, Gabe, go up and call a race. I typically decline that because it takes you a race or two to get the sight lines down, to see everything. You sort of don't get in your comfort zone until you really get to know a place. That takes a couple, 2 or 3 races to break in. But yeah, it's. All over, it's.
What are some of the most unique venues that you've been to?
Your Red Mile is interesting. I'm up on the roof there. You will have to walk across the roof, or literally across the roof. If you drive into Red Mile, look there on the roof. That I have to walk across that thing to get in the announcers booth. So that's odd. Pompano, where I was at for
they get an air conditioner up there.
9 years in South Florida. I do have AC. At least I haven't checked to see if it works yet this year, but I do have AC.
Check.
Yeah, Pompano was a unique place. The grandstand there the last couple of years had been condemned, but they just still let us officials go up on the top floor. You had to go through a catwalk. Typically where I am at, as opposed to, if it's like a broadcast, sometimes we're down with the desk in front of the people and everything, but just announcing, it's more behind the scenes. So if you go walk in a track and it's nice and flashy and everything, that doesn't mean the announcer's area is like that. So typically it's at a very high
storage room B,
very high point, as high a point as you can get, and hopefully right on the finish line. That's always important as well. Otherwise, but you can do it from about anywhere. I've announced at county fairs before, so I've called races at the top of bleachers. They still have harness racing at 7 county fairs in Kentucky. One of the One of those is in Lebanon, Marion
Okay,
County.
Marion
So,
County,
it's literally a half-mile track at a county fair. And, part of that breed development money we were talking about helps fund that series as well. So, yeah, it's, I've been to some very, very nice multi-million-dollar facilities and some, maybe ones that are not so nice, but they have their own charm.
Right. That's right. That's right.
We are here with Gabe Prewitt on Out There Winning Podcast, and we're going to a commercial break.
Out There Winning Podcast is brought to you in part by Dubby, your taste buds' favorite energy drink.
Follow your bubby over to Facebook and click on the W. Get a 10% discount with our code Out There Winning. Fishes and Honeycomb Children's Boutique, where every outfit tells a story and every toy sparks imagination.
From beautiful dresses to adorable t-shirts, we have the perfect ensemble for every occasion.
Fishes and Honeycomb Children's Boutique at fishesandhoneycomb.com. Also, follow us on Facebook. Great Yard Prime Wash, Pressure Wash, and Soft Wash Services.
Destroying grime, one house at a time. Contact Great Yard Prime Wash at greatyardprimewash.com.
Pool Brothers. Turn your backyard into a dream oasis.
Complete pool installations from start to finish. Contact Pool Brothers at poolbrothers.com.
Chill Zone CBD at chillzonecbd.com.
Discover the natural benefits of CBD with our premium products. Whether you're seeking for relaxation, relief, or rejuvenation, our CBD's offerings have you covered.
Your journey to natural relief starts at Chill Zone CBD. chillzonecbd.com.
X-Powered Travel.
Escape the ordinary and explore the extraordinary with our travel packages tailored to satisfy every wanderlust. Whether you crave the serenity of pristine beaches, the thrill of vibrant cities, or the awe-inspiring beauty of nature's wonders, we have the perfect destination waiting for you.
X-Powered Travel at xpoweredtravel.com. Next Level Entertainment.
Elevate your event to the next level with our premier mobile DJ services. Whether you're planning a wedding, corporate event, birthday bash, or any special occasion, our professional DJs are here to keep the party rocking all night long.
Find us on Facebook at Next Level Entertainment. Out There Winning Podcast is brought to you in part by...
First week.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast Out There Winning with James and Akeem. We're back with Gabe Prewitt talking about everything horse racing and gambling and, all kinds of good stuff. Gabe, so you still bet horses, you still gamble a little bit. You hit some big tickets, you lose some big tickets. One of the most memorable things that I've come across gambling together is that we've hit a ticket before and we lost money on it.
You can do that. You can do that for sure. Yeah.
I think we was doing like a big, pick 5, pick 6 or something like that. And we were in this ticket for like $3,600 and we were yelling it down. We were killing it, right? Well, the ticket comes in and it hit for, we thought we were good.
Yeah.
Hit for like $2,800.
Yeah, you could do that because actually in horse racing, what you do when you construct those tickets is how important ticket construction is. You proved my point, and that was very bad. I'm sure I did that, but you
I only had a third of it.
You pay per combination, so
right.
You pay. So if you play a pick 5, for instance, and say you can use 5 horses a race, but the more horses you use, the more expensive your ticket is because you got to pay per per combination. So if it's like a pick 5, which in horse racing terms like a parlay, it's like a 5-game parlay essentially for 5 consecutive races. You got to pick the winner. So if you use 5 by 5 by 5 all the way down, it would just be as simple as 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. So you see how expensive that gets. So you can actually, what happens is, when you play a bet like that, naturally the longer shots are less people have. So you're knocking more people out, which is the object. That's what you want to do. You want to get the most money you can. So you're rooting for the longer shots to eliminate people. What can happen sometimes when you go too deep like that is all the favorites come in. So the guys, not the bozos like James and I were spending 4 figures, but the guys spending like $10, have every favorite on their ticket. So they win too. So naturally, you're the guy left holding the buck there and helping pay those guys because you spend too much to have it, so to speak.
Now, I've been on the other side of that where Gabe and some other guys had a big ticket they paid, $2,400 for, and then I hit it for $24.
Yeah. That's always nice. Yeah, that's always nice.
So obviously you talk about like the staff, about how many's on staff that you kind of oversee there.
Yeah, it's different. The gaming floor, it's we sort of have different entities there, I guess is the best way to put it. The gaming floor is KRM Wagering is the company, and that's a partnership with Keeneland and Red Mile. So they've got their own staff and everything. We're right there with them every day, and they assist us, we assist them. I mean, that's
great partnership.
Yeah, but all their staff is whether it be food and beverage or cleaning services or anything like that are part of that organization. I happen to work for just the Red Mile, so we've got our own crew there that's racetrack. Isolated the racetrack or stuff to do with solely the Red Mile. And then, of course, Caesars has their own staff with the sportsbook. They're all actually employees of Caesars. So, start adding that up. You're talking about hundreds and hundreds of people, on site, and it's a huge property. We're well over 100 acres there. So you've got a lot of stuff going on.
And there's a lot of people there. You see a lot of people.
Yeah.
Not to mention who's behind the scenes. When you're walking through, you see a lot of people working. It looks busy.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's again, talking about how the thing has grown back, because there were a lot of very, very lean years that led into that. And then the gentleman that owned the track, they had many opportunities to, cash out and develop that property. There's many bidders, many that were looking to, not host horse racing on that property, and they'd like to develop it and do something else. And fortunately, a lot of racetracks around the country, that's what happened to the track I was at in South Florida. It was the most valuable piece of property that was undeveloped in Broward County, and it's right in between I-95 and the Florida Turnpike. So it was, hundreds of acres right there. So it was like $1 billion real estate deal. It's just, it doesn't make sense, even if you're doing solid as a track, it doesn't make sense to, economically hold on to it for that reason alone, when you can cash out for that good. So we're so happy that we have ownership that, 3 major breeders own the Red Mile. Literally, it's a private track, so not corporate owned or anything. They love racing. They breed hundreds of horses every year. And they, their passion is the Red Mile, so they love it, and it's great that we now have, some other products and revenue streams where it can be, not only a money losing pit for them. It's sort of something that can, sustain itself.
Right. What kind of charitable things does Red Mile get involved with?
Oh, we've got all kinds of stuff. It's mainly geared to the first floor, the group I was talking about there, but we do stuff with every organization. Shriners are coming out for a night. We've got the Humane Society's huge on that Wiener Dog night. They come out and they've really helped us with that, because they send out the mailing list, and memos, tell everybody to come. So we always try to raise a ton of money from that. I do a couple things on the racing side because we're always cognizant of horse aftercare. So we don't want to quit thinking about the horses after they race. So we want to give them a great life, and there are farms and a couple agencies that help place horses to good homes, when their racing careers are over. So, those ones are close to me, but, we try to make sure that a lot of things we do on the racing side, we can benefit those type charities as well.
Especially over, the employer I'm at with Midway, it's the most beautiful thing when you can see, like I look out my window sometime and I watch the horses walk on campus. It's one of the few campuses that you literally have horses walking off, because, obviously we have veterinarians and folks who are into equine science and things like that. But I think trying to figure out, we have a player that actually, Brent Brower, works a lot of horses. He's waking up 4 or 5 in the morning cleaning stalls and there's a lot of hard work that goes into this.
It's people. I one of the things that I always recommend anyone do, and I'd be glad to be the one to take you over and show you. But if you haven't seen behind the scenes, the care that these animals get, and the passion that the people that have them, put in. I mean, it is a 24-hour. 7-day-a-week job. These people arrive at the barns, before daylight. They're there till after the races are over at 10, 11 o'clock at night. But they're caring for these animals. We're grassing them, getting them ready to go out for their exercise. Feeding them a couple times a day. I mean, they get ultra great care. If they ever need a vet or anything like that. But they've got everything. For horses these days, they got horse spas. You can go out and the water. You get different massage machines. Believe me, I'd love to come back as a
horse.
Right? Yeah, it would be. They're very well taken care of.
I was sitting here on 60, and I think, it was yesterday, day before yesterday or so. The heat index is like 103, 104, and I'm seeing that horse outside. And I'm like, man, this thing is just sitting there like it's hot. So what's again? I'm not a horse guy, but leaving a horse out in the heat, does it bother the?
Not so much. It probably bothers the people that are working with them more so. They're it does get to a level. We have safety protocols. We've been close here recently of temperatures that you really do have to take a look at. If a heat index is triple digits or something like that, we've canceled races and situations like that. But it really doesn't. I can remember times when I was at Buffalo Raceway, and it would be snowing. We raced. There were 2 sister tracks near Buffalo. They had to race year round. That was the deal, to have the casinos, the racetracks. So we started racing when I was in Buffalo, January through July. It's not exactly a tropical region near Buffalo, New York.
Right, feet of snow.
Yeah. So there were nights it would be snowing so hard. Sometimes I was having trouble seeing the races. But and the horses go around. It did not bother them at all. It was literally just we have to make sure the vision. The track's safe, obviously, for them, for the horses to race on. But then the vision of the guys just behind them were really what the concern was. So the weather, even most of the extremes, horses are durable animals. You see them out there. They don't. It doesn't really seem to
affect them.
Yeah, and in the heat, they're going to find shade.
Right.
Yeah, they're not dumb like when y'all sit out there.
But I'm out there, man. I would have to question that one because it was hot out there.
No joke.
So you mentioned weather. So, like you said, it's more concerning for the people that are actually caring for them and so forth. But it seems like they all do a good job.
Oh yeah,
maintaining.
Yeah, it's but any given groom or trainer could have several horses under their care. So it's not just the one animal you're taking care of. You got to make sure the whole barn's good. And we have trainers that will have 40 horses just to themselves in their own care. They have a staff working for them, grooms and blacksmiths and veterinarians. But when you start really unpeeling the horse industry, there's so many people that it affects when it comes to tax shops and blacksmiths and where you buy the feed and this, that, and the other. It is a huge economic thing. We're fortunate in Kentucky. It's part of the fabric here. So it's really cool. But it employs a lot of people. That you really start to see when the dots start to connect.
Man, so I had an opportunity to go down to Florida, Indiantown, Florida, down there. Mo Williams owns several Clydesdales. Y'all gonna have any Clydesdale races?
We don't. We have had the Budweiser Clydesdales.
Right.
They're pretty cool. You had to get them. I had to get them a
massive
stall.
animals.
I had to get them a stall that they could fit into. They're not like any horse.
Now, we could probably get some local Clydesdales. I think that's what Clint Orm has. He does.
Okay.
He pulls the ground
the
loads. Or
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's like
some ideas for you.
Yeah,
horse pulls. I think that's what they call them.
This is what you can do, a horse pull.
Yeah.
Gosh.
That'd be a neat thing to
Hey,
do there.
I've tried worse, I'm sure.
Well, Gabe, talk to us. How would one get to where you are right now? Or get into announcing, or even on the, dealing with the sports betting.
Yeah, I think anyone has a passion for anything, as we know. It sort of drives your, passion, the ability to do something. So. Yeah, I think that just stick with it, right? To stay with it. I used to do when I first started to announce. When I did finally get comfortable enough to know a little bit about what I was doing, and I sort of enjoyed it. No one starts to throw you up on the best tracks where you're up there calling races there. I was going places for free, driving places for a couple hours, call races here, filling in for anybody that would call me. Probably drove to North Dakota if somebody had said call me on it.
Not only horse races, right? You did some ball games, some Legends games.
Yeah, I was a PA announcer for the Legends for 2 years. Jose Altuve was there. He was our star at the time. My claim to fame at the Legends is I actually introduced Bryce Harper to the plate. He was a visitor for his first professional home run. He was sit down in single A for a very short time, so that was cool. Very odd fact you'll never need to know again, but that was fun. Yeah, so I'm just fortunate. A lot of that's come naturally, and I've been able to have positions. That was a tryout position with the Legends. They actually had tryouts, and it got down between myself and the gentleman that was the PA announcer at Rupp Arena at the time, Doug. His last name escapes me right now, but so they really couldn't decide. They brought us back in several times over, and then they decided to split us up half the season apiece. So they didn't pick a winner in that race. So, but that was a lot of fun. Love all those guys, and actually the new ownership of the Legends I think are great too. So I look forward to getting back out there some this summer as well.
We went to a game there last week, and man, they had a fireworks show that was worth the cost of admission.
Yeah,
the fireworks show was great.
The new ownership group, they went through several ownership changes. Not to speak on behalf of the Legends or anything, but they own several teams. So it's a serious outfit. I think it went through some ownership groups that maybe didn't have the same knowledge or experience in minor league baseball or backing. Right. Yeah, so it's I think it's really going to be a great thing. I think they're going to put the money back into it. Hopefully they get affiliated again. I think that'd be cool too.
Yeah.
Whether it's with one of the major league teams, but it's always a fun night at the ballpark.
Absolutely.
Well, tell us what you got coming up next for you. I know we've talked about some of the Red Mile stuff and all that, but what's next for Gabe Prewitt? What's going on?
Well, for me, I'll be getting cranked up for this weekend. Again, we open Sunday. We have live racing Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Sunday evenings, and then Monday and Tuesday afternoons. For me personally, I'll be not on the road this weekend, thank goodness. It's the first weekend I've been here in a while, so I'll be in town getting ready for the meet there, the Red Mile. Following weekend, I'll be in Pittsburgh. We do a broadcast there. It's called Adios Day. It's a huge day at the track, their biggest race of the year. It's on a local Pittsburgh channel, and then the regular broadcast for the track. And then the following weekend after that, I'll be in New Jersey, there near MetLife Stadium at the Meadowlands. We'll be doing the national Fox broadcast that day. That's the one time a year we're on the major Fox network. That's Hamiltonian Day, which is sort of the Kentucky Derby again of harness racing. And then I had the following weekend, I think Friday, I'm doing a Fox Sports show in August 9th in Indianapolis, Hoosier Park. And then I drive the very next night to Cleveland, August 10th, for another broadcast over there at Northfield Park. So that's just outside of Cleveland. And then I'll be booking it back down here that Sunday for racing at Red Mile. So, yeah, it's a busy time. It's a busy time. And, I really take it like a week at a time. I don't like to get too far ahead of myself. Because it'll just, drive me crazy. So that's what I've got going on.
Well, Gabe, in closing, is there anything you want to tell everybody to leave them with?
Yeah, well, it's great to be back home. Great to be with you guys. And, we'd invite anybody to come out. You want to check out racing? If you hadn't been in the Red Mile in, years and years and years or never, come out and see us. And, for sure, if you can get a hold of me, these guys got my number or email. I'd love to help set you up with a great time or show you around. We had Shagari Aline stop by the other morning. Had to show him around the barn area, old ex-UK guy. And I always enjoy introducing anybody to the game, the sport. And, and it's really cool to get people back in the barn area, see the horses, see the people that work with them, and see some of the stuff behind the scenes.
Right.
Well, thank you, everybody, for watching our podcast, Out There Winning, and thank you, Gabe, for coming in and talking with us.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
And remember, whatever you do, be out there winning.